Well Met is directly supported by our listeners of this show. Head on over to patreon.com/wellmetpodcast and find out how you can get involved. Enjoy the show? Join our Discord community. Share deck lists, meet new friends, discuss strategy, and more at discord.me/wellmetpodcast. This episode of Well Met is brought to you by Legion by Lenovo and Intel. Find out more about Legion by Lenovo on Twitter and Facebook at Legion by Lenovo.
You're listening to Well Met.
Well Met.
A Hearthstone podcast brought to you by BlizzBrode.com.
Well Met.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 109 of Well Met. We are a Hearthstone podcast brought to you by BlizzBrode.com. Yeah, I'll never do that again. Welcome. Feels good to be back. We're in all sorts of levels of delirium this week. We've all had an insane couple of weeks, so I hope that you will forgive us and bear with us as we go through. I'm John Horstman. I'm in Denver, Colorado. Thanks for being here. Hope you enjoy this week's episode despite our flaws. It's going to be a good one. Let's head on over to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. What's that?
I said, speak for yourself. I'm perfect.
All right. Mr. Perfect himself, the math scientist, Tannon Grace.
Hey, buddy. How's it going? As you said, long weekend. I got in at 4:30 a.m. this morning from Kentucky, where I was playing a tournament, and had to get up at like 8 or 9 a.m. again. The dog woke me up, had work. Long day. I am being fueled only by caffeine from coffee right now. Only reason I'm awake.
Got
and
it.
the show.
Well, hey, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're powering through it. I think it's
gonna be a good one.
It'll be worth it. I promise. I'll make it worth it. Hey, JR from Kansas City. How you doing?
Man, I'm tired too, but not for the same reason as Tannon. I just couldn't sleep last night. And then I also had to get up early. So this is going to be one of those interesting shows. It's either going to be our best show or people are going to quit listening to us.
Oh no.
I vote best.
Let's go for best this week. And hey, well, we've got a lot to talk about. I know we've got a lot of stories. Before we do, I have actually a couple of pretty cool announcements about the podcast. First, we have totally reorganized our Patreon, and it is kind of the bomb right now. What we were able to do is we actually added on rewards to the current tiers, with things kind of freeing up in the summer now that I'm graduated. We'll talk about that first in a second. We've got a little bit more time, so head on over to patreon.com/wellmetpodcast. We've got some really cool perks there now, including we've got a Discord set up now for our patrons. We're actually going to be doing like mailbag episodes. So they'll be patron only, but there'll be Q&A. You can just send in a question. We'll answer it in a patron only audio episode. We've got some mobile and desktop wallpapers up there. Of course, we still have coaching and VOD reviews, all of that good stuff. Head on over to patreon.com/wellmetpodcast. Oh yeah, one of our stretch goals is bringing back the Hearthstone Esports Fast Break, which I get at least 1 to 2 emails a week saying, bring that back. Well, now we have an option and a way to bring that back. So head on over there. We're going to talk about Patreon in just a second, but we also have our own Discord set up now. So in a goal to be a little bit more community oriented, we've had an awesome time with our patrons in our Facebook group, but we haven't actually gotten to hang out with other people, and we want to. So we actually have a Discord open to all over at discord.me/wellmetpodcast. It'll be in the show notes. So, tap on the show notes on your podcast catcher And check it out. It's a lot of fun. We already have about 60 people hanging out in there. We're trading deck lists, talking about leagues, competitive play. It's going to be a blast, especially now that this is actually going out to people who listen to the show, because our listeners haven't even heard about it yet. It's just been word of mouth so far. So hope to see you there. That's the big housekeeping stuff. Let's talk about our weeks in Hearthstone. And JR, let's go to you first, man. What have you been up to?
Well, first of all, I had a really rough month. First couple weeks, just work has been, I had a project that was canceled, and after a year and a half of working on it, that's just not a good feeling to have your work go down the drain. I can't even imagine working at Blizzard and then working on Project Titan and something like that for years, and then it all gets scrapped. I understand why Chris Metzen left. Mine wasn't anywhere near the same degree, but it was pretty rough, so I didn't get a chance to play. But I did have to play a lot this week because things are looking up a little bit. Got up to rank 4. I started out playing Burn Mage, which I talked about before. You guys have heard me talk about it several times. I think it's the best deck in the game. And people are finally starting to agree with me on that. We'll talk about that later. But I saw that Secret Mage has been doing really well, and so I wanted to try it out. So I've been trying it out. I had a rough time at it. But I found a version that I like. So I played that and got that up to rank 4. Right now, I'm playing Evolved Shaman and trying that out because that deck kicks my butt every time I play it. And so I want to see how to play it so that I can see how to counter it, because that deck is rough. I couldn't win a single game against Evolved Shaman with Secret Mage until today, and I won 3 in a row against Evolved Shaman with Secret Mage. So after playing it, I think it helped me a little bit understand what they are trying to accomplish, and made me play against it a little bit better. So I might actually try to hit Legend this month, even though I said at the beginning of the month I wasn't going to. But I'm at rank 4. I've got to try for it, right?
Yeah, go for it. You got to go for it. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Tannon, what about you, man? I know you were a little out of state this last weekend, kicking some butt in the name of the game that shall not be named.
Yeah, I'll get to that in just a second. I kind of want to piggyback on a little bit what JR was saying. He's actually giving out my tech this week for our weekly tournament. I was going to tell him, man, you have to play this Shaman deck with the Evolve deck, the token one with Devolve. It's so good right now with what's going on at the top of the meta, what's going on. And
I thought about playing that this week, but I probably won't. But
yeah, it
is a good choice.
I'm 80 to 90% to play it this week. And this is what I've been alluding to the last couple of weeks, that the way the metagame was going, this deck's, kind of coming. We can get to that later in the show, but I played a little bit of Hearthstone this week. I had my match in our team Hearthstone League. I lost again. I lost 3-2. I did get 2 wins, which is pretty good. Getting the points matters. It doesn't matter. It matters how you lose. If you get 3-0, it's worse than getting 3-2'd. I've had a rough time in the league. JR's had to listen to me kind of complain about my matches, but I've been getting memed on a lot, as I like to put it. Whatever can go wrong goes wrong. Low rolling every opportunity, high rolling for my opponent every single time. So I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how the competitive players do it. I made the mention to JR. If I had to do this every day, I don't think I could do it. I'm so glad I'm not a competitive Hearthstone player anymore, because I just can't take the swings anymore of this game. Every day, too much. A couple times a week, I'm all right with it. Didn't get to play much ladder. Gonna get around to that this week. Been super busy and out of town, like you said. I actually had a big Magic tournament this weekend where I made about an 11-hour drive up to Kentucky to play a team event. And these are the best ones in the world. I have traveled very far distances to play team events. I'll even go out of the country and stuff, because you get 2 of your friends and you get to play against, 3 other people at the same time. And we made top 8 of about 1,000-person tournament. Ended up making some money, did pretty well. It was a crazy thing that kind of happened, though. So we traveled super far to play this tournament. We did really well day 1, did amazingly well day 2 to make top 8. We rattled off something like 9 straight match wins or something like that to make top 8, because we started out 4-2 or something like that, and then we won literally 7 or 8 in a row. And so we get into top 8. We had to wait an hour for them to start it, because we had to do interviews and photos and like fill out stuff and have to get the cameras ready for like the big match. And we were the selected match to be on camera that round because there's, you know, more than just our match going on, obviously.
Oh, and so you're going to lose because you're on camera.
Oh, we didn't just lose. We did not just lose. My match was over in under 7 minutes. We're given 50 minutes. In the top 8, you're given in all the time you can to finish your match, like as long as you play at a reasonable speed. But you're normally given 50 minutes in a round. My match is over in 7 might be generous, honestly. I think we shuffled up more than we actually played the actual game. We played a total of like 6 turns, and I was just dead. And then another guy on my team had practically the same thing happen to him. So I actually messaged my friend right before. I was like, bring the car around. This one's going to be short, and we need to get on the road. We got an 11-hour drive home. So it's a small blessing in disguise. You know, if we had gone longer to the tournament, I would have been driving home all day today and like missed some work and stuff. So I guess that's a silver lining, you know, whatever. But this did qualify me for a bigger event as well later down the line. So I'm still happy with that. But this week we get some more Hearthstone. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Nice. Cool, man. Well, it sounds like you guys have at least had productive weeks. I've had quite the pair of weeks the last couple of weeks. We had to cancel the show last minute because I didn't think I would be as drained as I was. But I actually proposed to Katie last weekend, and she said yes. Woo! Woo! Sorry,
Good work,
podcast
John.
listeners.
Good work.
This guy is completely off the market now. Signed, sealed, delivered, off the market. No chances of a breakup or anything anymore. So, hey, it was awesome. It was an amazing weekend. I had the whole weekend planned. My brother and mom were in town for graduation because I actually graduated college that weekend as well. And so what I wanted to do was I was basically going to throw a party, but put it under the guise of a surprise or a graduation party for myself. And I'm like, yeah, we're going to go out to dinner on Saturday night. Little did Katie know, I actually brought her family in from Hawaii and Texas to surprise her. Rented out the patio at one of her favorite restaurants. Open barred, invited our friends and, of course, our families and stuff from Denver. And so basically how it worked is we went out to our favorite restaurant, just her and I, and it was great. We had the best excuse to make it work so that it wasn't weird that I wasn't with my family while they're here in Denver. So they were out doing their thing. We went to our favorite restaurant because my stepdad said that he was going to treat us because they couldn't be with us. So that was, again, the excuse, right? So we did that. We went to the restaurant and I proposed there. I maybe cried more than she did. It was really weird. But it was awesome. She said yes. And then she's like, I feel like I should be FaceTiming my family right now and telling everybody. And I was such a jerk. And I'm like, you know what? Can we just go to the restaurant and meet up with my family first and then go ahead and do all that just so that we're not doing that while we're trying to concentrate on driving and, just having it be ourselves. That was my worst lie. I wasn't prepared for that one. But we got to the restaurant. We walk onto the patio. She sees all of our friends there and my family there. So she's like emotional and really excited. But then she saw that her family was there as well, and she lost it. And I won major brownie points. Should tide me over at least a couple weeks. But yeah, so weeks? I'm engaged now.
Weeks?
I hope. I don't know. Katie, Katie.
That's good for a few months there, buddy.
Katie, Katie, though. She, she deserves a lot. So.
Yes, she does. And you did a great job, John.
So thank you. So I know everyone always was like, how did you land Katie?
I'm pretty mad about this, honestly, by the way.
Okay.
I'm pretty mad about this.
Great.
I can't go into too many details why, because she might listen to the show, but this might have altered some of my plans for something similar. And now I have to live up to you as well. So this sucks.
I did set a bar.
Thanks, bud.
Okay.
Set a quite big bar.
You set a big bar, but here's how I propose, guys.
Big bar, not even a high bar, just a big bar.
I'll give you something, Tannon. This is how I proposed. We were sitting on the couch, and I was like, "Hey, you want to get married?" And she's like, "Okay."
See, like that's
done.
great. Now I can just go somewhere between this, and I'm fine.
There you go.
Like,
Yeah.
we have this high bar, and then we have this like bar that doesn't exist somewhere towards the bottom, and I can just go anywhere in between. I'm like completely fluid now. So
I didn't even have a ring or anything. We went and picked one up the day after.
good for you.
You guys are the best.
Been married for almost 4 years now.
You guys
so
are the best.
It worked.
Seriously though, congratulations, John. I'm really happy for you.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Yeah, thank you. So that's why we missed the show last week. Everyone was still in town on Monday, and there was just so much emotional stuff to like get over. I'm like, I can't do a show. No show notes. We're done. We're just like,
understandable.
We're good.
Very understandable.
So sorry. I know that was a long intro. Normally we do 5 minutes of intro and then boom, we're into Hearthstone. I'm going to put in the show notes. Hey, start listening here if you want to miss the announcements. I think I'm going to do that.
If you don't care about our lives at all, and you just want the Hearthstone.
Just want the Hearthstone. Well, fine. I'll direct you. I'll direct you to a different podcast. Let's go into the news.
This week in Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft.
Oh, yeah. This week we want to thank our friends of the show, Albert T, The Real Ben, Corel, and Variatus. Thank you so much for your support of the show. Come join us on our Patreon. $1 a month, $5 a month, $1 an episode. We literally put out, an hour and a half of content every week. If you're like, hey, thanks for doing that, and you wanna do something, head on over to patreon.com/wellmetpodcast. Find out how you can get involved. Get in our Discord. That part's free no matter what. Discord.me/wellmetpodcast. We're hanging out there as well. Thank you again so much for your support of the show to all of our patrons. Let's head over into the news. So first, we actually got a little bit of a surprise news bomb from the Hearthstone team this week. So, JR, what's going on here? You're, as the resident Blizz Pro and like Blizzard news guy, you've got like a Blizzard news and strategy website. So I really want to know, we'll just call it a fan site, I suppose.
Yeah.
You probably know this better than any of us here. What's going on in coming to Hearthstone?
Yeah, so there's actually a few different things, and they're all pretty big, like quality of life things that should have been in the game since the beginning, honestly. But the first one, though, is you'll be able to complete your quests with friends anytime. They've turned that on for like a week at a time here and there, but now, good to go. Play against your friends, complete your quests.
Yes.
That's awesome. I love it. So the second thing is basically a way to import and export decks. The way that you would do this is when you create a deck in Hearthstone, when this goes live, you'll be given basically a code. And if you save that code to like Notepad or whatever, and then or send it to a friend, share it on Twitter, things like that, the person can copy that code and go to Hearthstone, paste it in when they create a new deck, and it grabs all the cards as long as you have the cards, it grabs all the cards and makes the deck for you.
And this also works on mobile that way too, which I would imagine would be a pretty big stumbling block of actually being able to like copy those strings and make that happen. So that's pretty neat too.
Yeah. On Blizz Pro, like if you go to our Hearthstone website when this launches, our deck list that we have there will have codes for all of our deck lists and with a little copy paste button. So you can just hit the little copy button on all of our decks from now on.
Nice.
And paste them into the client. So when we share decks on our show notes, you can do that on the decks that we share on here.
Do you know? So do you know how they deal with? So you said something kind of key, and you're like, if you have all the cards, do you know how it's treated if you don't have all the cards?
It works like deck recipes.
Got it.
So
that's smart too.
I don't remember how that deck recipes work, but it works like deck recipes.
Recipes, lol. Sorry. Just kidding. To all you deck recipeers out there, it's a joke. Relax. Send your complaints to tannongrace@blizzpro.com.
And probably the biggest one for me is, and this is kind of hard for me to explain, I guess, but let's say you create a deck list and you have a golden version of a card, but only one, but you want two. So you have a normal one as well. So you put the golden one and the normal one in the deck, and it shows up on your deck list as kind of two separate cards instead of showing I have two of this card. And it's especially annoying when all of these pro players have some of those golden cards and they share them, and you're trying to build it out, and you see like one golden and one non-golden.
Yep.
Well, now you'll just see the card with a 2 next to it. So when you share these deck lists, they're not ginormously long because you have some golden, non-golden. It's all conformed, makes you happy. This is one of the primary reasons that I actually don't use golden cards.
Oh, really? This is one of the primary reasons why I spent $4,000 to have a completely gold collection. So it's about the same.
Because it drove me nuts.
Katie doesn't know about that debt yet.
One card if.
I literally have a Hearthstone bank account that's just credit cards.
Well, that's half hers now, just so you know.
It's true. It's marrying out of debt is, I believe, the terminology for that. That's really cool, though. I mean, Tannon, you play Hearthstone. How do you like? How do you like these changes? Any that you're particularly excited about?
So I like all of them. Obviously, like, ease of use, ease of life is great. It just makes everything simpler. I think the one I'm the most excited about is deck sharing, right? So getting to import and export decks out of Hearthstone very quickly. It's a lot easier now when you're let's be honest, on Twitter, I probably follow 500 people, half or more of them are Hearthstone, and they, post deck lists. And I'm like, dude, that deck looks great. I want to play that deck. You know how annoying it is to have to build the deck and look at my other screen or look at my phone, and then I miss a card or two, and I'm like, what card am I missing? So I have to go through the whole deck again.
29. I'm at 29. What am I missing?
Damn it,
I don't get it.
Yeah, where am I missing?
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Yeah, exactly. You feel my pain. And so now I can just copy and link. This is something, again, why was this not here day one? This is something, I get why it wasn't here maybe day one, but why wasn't this here, year one, right after that. So I'm pretty excited about that. It also helps out a lot with people who have to play tournaments a lot. Thinking about when I have to go in a tournament mode and I play someone, I can't have 12 decks in my deck collection. Right. I have to get rid of everything and only have the decks that I'm playing. So what I can do now is just have a list of all the links of the deck list that I have and import them all instead of rebuilding them all click by click by click. And especially if you're on mobile or iPad, that's really annoying. You have to sit there and drag all the cards across. You don't have a mouse.
Deck creation on mobile is the worst experience.
Oh my God. I just I had to play my match on my iPad this week and I almost just conceded. It was miserable. It's have to build all my decks and stuff. So just ease of use. Honestly, I think this is going to increase. This is going to just make a lot of people's lives a lot easier in Hearthstone. So I'm pretty excited about that one.
Yeah. I mean, these are cool, right? I'm finally excited to quests have always been the most frustrating part of Hearthstone for me personally. No joke, because I hate when I play Hearthstone, I'm playing a specific deck of a specific class, and then I'm re-rolling quests to try to get that to fit in. I'm not going outside of that. I'm not going into casual play. I'm not going into wild. I'm not doing any of that. I am simply playing that deck or two decks. And if my quest doesn't align with that, it's just not even there. But now I have the ability to do it with friends. And I will probably do that more often now. We've already, in our Discord, we've already been sharing battle tags on getting quests complete and stuff like that and getting ready for that. So that's pretty cool.
And see, I'm excited for that because I don't actually get to play with my friends a lot in Hearthstone. And one of the reasons for that is we're both hard-nosed into ranked play, and just playing that because there's not any real incentive on playing your friends unless you're both trying to test out decks. or something to that effect. This gives me a reason to, see one of my friends. I'm like, hey, you want to knock out some quests? I got some quests that I want to play some fun decks and try it out, and you get rewarded for it. And I think that's important.
You can even double it by playing through Tavern Brawl and stuff and get like just knock a bunch of stuff out of the way right away.
Right.
Yeah, like especially like the weird ones that make you like build your deck a certain way. Again,
play just 100 Murlocs or whatever.
Yeah, it's
the one that John finally got around to finishing recently or whatever. I'm assuming he finished it since Murlocs are actually good again.
I don't want to talk about it. Anyways, yeah, so that's going on. That's a big deal. That's coming soon, TM. So we'll hopefully see that in game soon. We also do have another thing going on, and that's this new Hearthstone Mulligan's 2-minute 37 second kind of thing. I haven't even watched it. I watched the first 20-30 seconds and I'm like, nope, I'm out. So Tannon,
you're just wrong.
Tannon, tell me what's up here. Tell me what's up.
Okay. So it's kind of like a commercial, sort of, but like a spoof of like office life, as if you were in your office, but Hearthstone was sort of like, I don't understand maybe the entire premise here. Honestly, okay, this may date me a little bit, but like JR probably feels me on this. If you've seen the movie Office Space, it's a pretty big cult classic. There's a really famous part in the show where this guy just like goes ham on a copy machine. I mean, this thing like always messes up, and he starts like beating it with his bare hands and a baseball bat and stuff. And like this guy's like right at the point of doing that, right? He's about to go off on this copy machine. And like there's just Hearthstone characters around him. And they're saying like little catchphrases and like they're trying to like talk him through all this stuff. And yeah, like it's goofy. Some people might think it's stupid, but just take it for what it is. It's entertainment. It was like I was laughing out loud at this thing. And like actually just like rolling. I thought it was hilarious.
Tannon,
JR, I know you don't agree with me. Right? I usually don't have a sense of humor. I'm usually like pretty dry about certain things, but I actually thought this was pretty funny.
JR, what do you think?
I thought it was a waste of my time to watch it.
You're a waste of my time. The show was great.
No, it just was not for me. I understood the Office Space reference. I understood what it was trying to be, but it just fell flat. Like if they want to make more, that's fine. It's whatever. But it's not for me. Not for me.
It was way better than like the guac thing or whatever, like their first attempts at like humor. Like this one was like actually clever.
At least that had some catchphrase that people could grab onto.
Come on.
And are still talking about. What was this?
You need a catchphrase for it to be right?
Nothing.
That's what's wrong with our country.
Like, I don't even remember what happened. I just remember being like, okay, they did that thing. And moved on with my life.
I'm actually excited to see the next Mulligan's episode thing. I really am. I'm not like, waited on bated breath for it or whatever. But like when it comes out, I'm definitely going to check it out again. I mean, I'm excited to see if it's at least funny.
So if I were on the Hearthstone marketing team, what I would do, those ESPN commercials where they're walking down and it's just like a pro athlete at a cubicle?
Those are hilarious. Yes.
They should just do that with Hearthstone cards and heroes. That's what this should have been.
So I worked for how would I put this? I worked for a company when I did some work in esports, like when I got my first big break in esports, when I was doing casting for HPL. And that was actually something that got brought up had we been more successful and kept going. Like, let's say like season 3 would have happened. I had actually broached it, and Admirable and I, who was my co-caster at the time, we were going to start making, we called them like ESPN commercials, where like we would just film commercials around the office space. And we had like really good ideas for these. Like we had one of them about like someone training, cause like Smork Hunter was like really, really big at the time. JR, you were like probably really, really excited about Hearthstone at the time. And it's probably just like your heyday. And, we had a guy talking about, he's like, I really need to work on my face hunter. I'm not getting it. Like, I think I'm messing up somewhere. And so we cut to him like, and he's on his laptop or his computer, and we have the entire screen blanked out except for the face of the opponent. And like all he can do is drag his stuff up there. And we're like, you're getting it, you know? And like he just keeps doing it. And it'd be like a montage, like, you know, like the Rocky type montage kind of him just dragging to the face over and over again. We had some other good ideas, man. I really wish that would have happened. That's like the one thing I really miss from that. That was the biggest debacle of all of it.
Yeah, it's
maybe not.
The Hearthstone team continues to, and it's not the Hearthstone team, but like I continue to get really conflicting advertising from Hearthstone. I love their arena stuff that they did where they actually had like a physical arena and brought in Tinkmaster over Spark, and
yeah, that was pretty funny.
Like those were really cool. But you know, they did the it's my guac kind of thing, and I just like
one take this inside.
Yeah,
which was weird.
Yeah, and it didn't quite meet its meme potential, I would say.
I mean, if they did it like after the Catch Me Outside thing or whatever, or Cash Me Outside thing, it would have been a little better because it sounds sort of similar. Like maybe it would have caught on more.
Catch
or whatever.
Me
It's
Inside,
like
how about that? Yeah, I got
yeah,
it.
like Hearthstone Catch Me Inside. How about that? Yeah, you're like,
Yeah.
That's a little too much, maybe.
Oh man. Anyways, check it out. It's in the show notes as well. We also got some new information about the Wild tournaments going on, put on by Blizzard. It's brand new. It literally dropped just a few hours before the show, and there just hasn't been enough time to sift through because it was like the tournament rules. So there is new information on that, but we're actually not, it was too much. Normally we complain about the news coming the day after the show, but honestly, like an hour before the show is almost just as bad when the information is this dense. So Ben Brode, please help a brother out. Come on. All right. Moving on. We've got a lot of stuff. There's no way we're getting through all this. Ben Brode has been busy on Reddit recently, and he's been discussing the new player experience. More changes to rank are coming, and they are committed to keeping Hearthstone spicy, which is why if you logged in on May 20th, you got a free, it was Pit Fighter, right? That was the name of the card?
No. It was a fighter, but I can't remember the name of it. But it wasn't Pit Fighter.
What was it? Oh my God, this is going to drive me. Fight Promoter.
Fight. Yeah, I was going to say it's the promoter. Yeah.
There it is. So he was very busy on Reddit this last week discussing that, basically saying we've got new changes to the new player experience that we want to implement. We're not done making changes to the ranked experience. And there was no real like underlying marketing reason about the new card. They're just saying we're just trying to keep Hearthstone spicy and keep people, engaged. So that's about all they've got for that. Chat's like blowing up. Fight Promoter. All right, we got it. Thanks, guys.
We got an answer right.
We did. Moving on to esports really quick. Huge congratulations to Hoy. Hoy barely made it in the top 8 for the EU Spring Playoffs recap. Like they actually misannounced that he was not in the top 8. They actually had Maverick in the top 8 and not Hoy, but because of tiebreaker rules and stuff, he actually was in the top 8. Ends up taking it all with kind of a pretty aggressive lineup. So huge congratulations to him winning the EU Spring Playoffs. Tannon.
Yeah, you got to know you got to understand how well he's liked in the community. I don't know if you guys are on Twitter or social media. Yeah, everyone does. Everyone does. He's like one of the guys, like he's just a good guy. Everyone loves him.
He's like orange. Yeah.
I wasn't actually watching when it happened because I was busy, but I knew he won just because on Twitter he was like trending. Like every single person in the Hearthstone community was like, dude, congrats. Like they couldn't, be happier for someone else. Like they just loved seeing him win, and that speaks volumes to how much he's loved in the community. So I'm very happy for him.
Yeah, it's been great. He played really well too, which is cool.
He's been doing that for a long time, so it's nice to see him get a breakout.
He's always been like the consistent, really like the consistent player, just hasn't gotten that big break yet. He was it with Alliance for a while? Was he with Ostkaka in Orange?
That sounds correct.
I
don't want to confirm. Yeah.
Yeah.
They switch around a little too much.
You know, I know he's pretty close with Orange, though. They practice a lot. So that's really cool. So huge congratulations there. Of course, we do have the NA Spring Playoffs coming up May 27th and 28th. I actually have a location here in Colorado, about 30 minutes north of me. So I'm going to be there Saturday and Sunday at Buffalo Wild Wings. We're going to Buffalo Wild Wings, boys. Woo! So yes.
Said no one ever.
Not competitors, maybe, but as a spectator, there's not a place I would rather be than chowing down on some Asian Zing boneless wings, playing some trivia, and wiping the floor with some noobs in Hearthstone. So about about 30-ish%. I don't know. I made that percentage up, but it felt like close to 50, but not quite. A good chunk of locations for the NA Spring Playoffs are actually at Buffalo Wild Wings across the country. I'm really excited about that. But Tannon, you have feelings.
I am like completely the opposite of you. Like there's nothing more than I want in my life when I'm going to play the biggest match of my life, the most intense, like just I'm going to be so nervous. And then I'm gonna have somebody up. Hey, do you want a refill on your Coke there? Do you need some more wings? Did you want boneless or non-boneless this time? Do you want some potato wedges with that? Do you need more napkins? No, leave me alone. I'm trying to figure out what to do with my Miracle Rogue this turn. I've only got, a minute and a half. I'm going to rope out. Like, I would be.
Do you really think that they're going to be walking up to whoever is sitting playing the match? Or are you just being facetious?
I'm more worried about their bandwidth. That's what I would be worried about.
Yes. It's going to be. I can't say that word on it's going to be a crap show, like at multiple locations. And like, if I lost because I had to go to a Buffalo Wild Wings and their bandwidth couldn't like hold it, I'm going to flip multiple tables in that place. Like, I'm going to get thrown out.
You don't think that they've been working with Buffalo Wild Wings or have already confirmed that they have the bandwidth versus like these really, like, I'm going to be honest here, these really crappy mom and pop shops across the country that they've been at the past with really inconsistent internet? You've got a national institution in the B-dubs. They've got internet. I play trivia there all the time. Katie and I love us some boneless wings. And so we'll go there all the time. We'll load up some trivia. My Wi-Fi hasn't dropped once, Tannon. So how about that?
I mean, like,
catch me outside. How about that?
Good Lord. I mean, I think it's like better than 50-50 that, yeah, they are working with them to make sure that there's no internet problems. But still, I mean, like, why? Like, why Buffalo Wild Wings? I mean, there's a very good chance that something's going to happen to one of these competitors. You're way wrong on that front. By the way.
Are you kidding me? You're both done.
No, I'm not.
You guys are. I'm actually hanging up the call right now. I just physically hung up the call. First time ever on Well Met. And this is the disagreement. The disagreement is on, like I said, I hung up the call for the first time. Buffalo Wild Wings is a national treasure. If they ever go bankrupt, I hope that they build statues of their boneless wings in all the city squares.
The food's not terrible. Like, it's edible. You know what I mean? I haven't gotten sick eating there, but it's nothing amazing. And I will say that it was kind of a tradition for a little while that opening day, I would go to Buffalo Wild Wings with some people to, like, watch all the games at once because they have like 47 televisions or something in the building. Like, dude, their power output has got to be absurd. Like, I don't know how they pay for their energy bills anyway. But
with
really,
$12 for 8 delicious wings.
Yeah, that costs like 2 cents to make. Exactly. But in delicious, that's really stretching it. Their food is not good, John.
Tannon,
here's the thing. JR, you and I could talk about food. I'll take recommendations from you. I am never eating anywhere from John. Like, I'm trying to question his proposal earlier. He's like, oh, it's our favorite restaurant. I don't want to like mar your proposal or anything, but was it at like a fast food restaurant?
I no joke paid $212 for that meal.
Okay,
and it will actually change your life.
Apologize.
Katie will talk to you guys about Buffalo Wild Wings and why she really enjoys it, and you'll all be convinced. You just like disagreeing with me. Next. Okay, fine.
I'll apologize. I didn't mean to say anything bad about your proposal. I'll accept that the place was good, but from now on, your food recommendations, they're suspect.
Okay, that's fine.
I will add one more thing.
Okay, great.
Sam Benson, because we're having one here in Kansas City at Buffalo Wild Wings, has said to not be afraid of this because they are working together. So I'd be interested to see. I'm not going to be able to go because we're going to be out of town.
Personally, I'm more afraid of diarrhea than I am of dropping my Hearthstone games. Going on to the next thing here, the Hearthstone Spring Playoffs, we finally have a final date. It's going to be July 7th through July 9th in Shanghai. So that's pretty neat. Congratulations to those 4 EU guys who get to go to Shanghai. That's got to be pretty cool. So that's neat. I doubt we'll ever hear about it on the stream that they're actually in Shanghai because I didn't even know if the last one was in the Bahamas. They never said it.
Oh, the last one was at the Bahamas?
Yeah,
I guess.
Whoa.
It would have been nice if they told us where it was.
Yeah,
I know. Unbelievable. So that's going on.
If I was casting it, I would have been pretty excited too to say I am in the Bahamas.
I'm sure they got some direction too. I bet you they get less direction next time about it. That was so funny.
Oh yeah.
Last but not least here in esports news, Lifecoach has actually left G2.
How sad are you?
I'm like devastated. First he like leaves the Hearthstone community completely. Then he leaves G2. Like the just the lovable G2 Kingwin team with Lifecoach, RDU, and Tice, like that trinamic trio, you know, it's been near and dear to my heart. I was a fan of G2 back when what were they before G2? It was
I'm blanking.
Because Lothar was the manager.
We're bad at this.
Now. We're bad. Anyways, gosh, I just can't.
Honestly, do you think of it the way I do? I almost think of him as like their dad. Like we see Tyson and RDU because they both look so young.
Yes.
And they have their dad that was like, hey, like I'll play Hearthstone with my kids because they like it, and then he just turns out to be really good.
He's like the dad that's actually better than the kids.
Yeah,
you know, like in video games, usually once you hit like 12, 13, you start beating your dad at things like video games and sports. But he's like that really cool dad who like stays relevant and better than everybody else. And he's even the cooler dad where he's like, but I'm going to teach you.
That's my plan for the future, by the way. That's how I see myself in 10 years once I start like raising, you know, my theoretical kids that I'm going to have in the next few years. I see myself as like the dad who's still trying to be cool and be relevant and like hang out with his kids and play their games. So I'm just hoping, because I'm never going to force them to do it, but I'm just hoping my kids pick up Hearthstone or Magic, and I'm never going to tell them that I was good at it at one point, and then I'm just going to destroy them. It's going to be so much fun.
Hey kids, you want to play some Halo 2 with your pops?
Yeah, let's go.
Come on.
I used to be pretty good at that one too.
Boom, headshot. Go clean your room. We're going to skip the meta. Guess what? Mage is pretty good right now.
We've got mail.
We do got mail, but before we get into that, we actually got mail about an article submitted by listener of the show, Jason Wilson. He's over at, oh my God, I suck. VentureBeat. Thank you. All right. VentureBeat wrote an article about, is it time for the Hearthstone PC client to separate from the mobile client? And it was a great discussion. It was a great article. Of course, we're linking it in the show notes. You need to read it, but we wanted to kind of give our own thoughts here. One of the most hotly contested points about a tournament client is the unification of the desktop and mobile clients. However, since the introduction of additional deck slots, hero and card back customization options, and more, the PC and mobile client, even though in functionality they haven't changed, they've been separating and how you achieve those different things. So the question we're going to discuss today is the mobile version of Hearthstone ready to be separate from the PC game or the PC version of Hearthstone? And is it holding it back? JR, I want to go to you first. Is the mobile version of Hearthstone holding the game back? And why or why not?
This is a tough question because part of me wants to say yes, because there's only so much that you can do, because since it is a mobile game, there's only like so much you can do between the PC and mobile that if you start adding more features, you don't want to quote unquote, they use this way too often, quote unquote, confuse people on the mobile client. At the same time though, like I feel like that is a really, really weak excuse, because I mean, I go back to last year when we were playing, what was that game that we were playing? Royal Clashers or something like that.
Clash Royale.
Yeah,
Clash Royale.
Yeah.
And that primarily mobile game had a lot more features than Hearthstone did.
Yep.
As far as like
guilds or
replays,
clans. Yeah. Replays.
guilds, clans, things like that. Tournament modes, things like that. That is not in Hearthstone. So you can't use the excuse that the mobile client is holding it back. I think it's more of a design philosophy of the Hearthstone team that they see a very specific way that they want to continue with Hearthstone. And there has been nothing that I have seen in the last few years that tells me that they are serious about making this a truly competitive game and want it to be casual. And
Okay.
that's my bomb for the day.
Interesting. Tannon, what do you think, man? Like, I feel like you're a Magic player. You've got Magic the Gathering online, which at least 4 or 5 people play. And so like
Maybe.
you've seen kind of some of this in the Magic world and elsewhere. Do you think that the mobile client is holding Hearthstone back? And do you think that they should stray away from that philosophy of, let's keep it unified. Let's let everybody play our game, regardless of platform?
So I'm going to say a slight yes for I think that it's holding it back because, any idea they have, anything they want to do in the game, anything they want to like add to it, they probably need it to be, reverse compatible between the PC, to use a gaming term, between the PC and the mobile client. And if they can't do it, then if they can't do it on one, then they just can't do it most likely, right? JR, go ahead.
Keep in mind, there's multiple mobile clients.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like, honestly, I don't think you can answer no to this. Like it has to hold them back in some way, right? In design space or you just how you execute with what you're going on. I mean, I'm not a programmer. JR's way, way better answering this question than I am. I literally am illiterate when it comes to programming, but I have to believe that it holds back. And to furthermore, what JR was saying earlier is, his little bomb, he's right. When they made this game, they didn't expect it to be competitive at all. Actually, Hearthstone might be like the biggest surprise Blizzard has ever had. They expected this game to be very casual. They expected people to play on their iPads on the bus for like 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's fun.
They didn't expect the scene to blow up the way it did. And you're still seeing them recovering from the shock of, oh my God, we have a huge competitive scene. This is going to be a big money maker. This is great for our game. Our game's going to get, gigantic all over the world.
That can't be an excuse anymore, though.
I agree. I agree, JR.
425 million, right? That was the number
no big
from
deal. And no
like,
big deal.
go on.
Yes. But I mean, for every complaint that people have about something like the mobile client holding it back, I think they should count their lucky stars and be thankful for how good the mobile client actually is. Because, there's games that have come before this or that have come out afterwards that still aren't as good. And yeah, we get held back in some ways. It's good in other ways, though. So like I said, yes, I think it is holding it back. Maybe it's time they separate and you have like a mobile version where your collections can go back and forth versus the PC version. But that creates so much of a headache and can alienate a lot of people who play the game as well.
We've had this discussion a while, like a year plus ago, back with Kevin on the show. And one of the things I've always advocated for is is having a PC only tournament client. And it's something that I just think makes sense. They're using Battlefy for first party Hearthstone tournaments from Blizzard. And I'm like, why? We have third party applications like Hearthstone Deck Tracker and others that are reading information from the game. Others are using screen recognition technology to do that. If a third party developer, some dude who's a developer and at home comes and makes, some cool things for Hearthstone, is able to put something together like Hearthstone Deck Tracker, I don't see why the Hearthstone team doesn't or hasn't looked at a PC only tournament client or desktop only, I'll say, not PC, but desktop only. And I think it makes a lot of sense for them to start doing that. They've talked about an API for Hearthstone for quite a while. And, JR, this is probably the next step to it with the deck codes thing that they have there. That's got to be like a step kind of closer.
Maybe I've lost
a
faith
side
in
step.
ever being an API.
But it's just kind of like, it's like, even then right now, right? So we've all played in a Hearthstone league now, and it's a totally different game. It's reminiscent of, to what you guys do. I played Pokemon a little bit, but you guys do with Magic the Gathering of, heading over to an actual place, seeing somebody and playing something specific, not queuing up with a random dude on the ladder and, winning or losing or conceding after turn 4.
Knowing what decks they have before you play, being able to ban a deck. I mean, things like that. It's just, it's apparent to me that they don't even really talk about it. So it becomes apparent to me that it's not high up on their let's do this scale. I'm sure it's on their list, but it's not a priority for them.
Well, and if they've said anything, it feels like they've gone away from, we don't want people doing virtual tournaments. We want fireside gatherings to be the catalyst of what that looks like. And we're getting some really cool features there as well. And I'm a firm believer in the fireside gathering system. I've heard Sam Benson speak many a time about that. And I think it's like an amazing thing that they're doing. But at the end of the day, I would love to be able to just join a 16-man tournament on an afternoon, go head to head and not say, I hit legend this month because I had 100 hours this month and won at least 55% of my games. And that's why I got there, versus I'm beating these people with these decks. I'm understanding conquest, last hero standing strategies. And, maybe winning a little money on the side, hustling. But besides that, Tannon.
If there was a tournament mode, I would never play ladder again. Like I would probably never be in the single digits any month. I would only be firing off these like 8 and 16 man, 32 man events and stuff, because like I like the pressure and stuff of it. It's just way more of an experience to me. I mean, we'll get into that other time. It's another talk for us later. But like you said, if they can incorporate this, like, yeah, let's do it. Why not? Why have we been asking for this so long? It hasn't happened. It's like JR said. I mean, sometimes you wonder if they're even listening.
Well, not only that, but you have to figure like who we are compared to Hearthstone, the Hearthstone audience in general.
Yeah, of course.
Totally. if let's talk about fireside gatherings for a quick second. I've ran fireside gatherings where we have done tournaments, and while I have gotten a lot of people there, what would happen is people would show up, play in the tournament. If they dropped out early, they would leave. And because they were just there to play the tournament. Now, the fireside gathering Sam is running, we don't have a tournament or anything. Sure. You just show up to play some Hearthstone. And he has, 30-some people who show up for 3 hours or more to just mess around, talk to each other, talk about the game, and things like that. So it's one of those things where I feel like Hearthstone wants to capture that audience that is going to the fireside gatherings, wants to talk about the game, wants to just play the game for fun, and not necessarily looking for the competitive edge. However, I do feel like they need to support that. And I don't feel like they are, or they have any intentions of making it a priority.
I was a streamer that I watched, Trevor May. He's actually a pitcher for the Minnesota Twins. So that's kind of how I found him. He's actually a signed streamer with Luminosity for Overwatch. And he is organizing a Hearthstone tournament with a company that is looking at basically operating like a third-party tournament client. What it means is that just like with... remember the early deck trackers that use screen recognition and then they found out a way like through the logs or whatever to actually grab information from your game? Through screen recognition, it can actually like grab if you won, if you lost, automatically like cue you into games and stuff like that. Like it's really kind of insane the stuff that they're trying out and doing. And I'm like, if there are third-party companies already doing this, that's a sign that Blizzard needs to come out with their first-party option, because eventually either someone's going to break TOS, number two, they're going to miss out just on a key opportunity of making their game Blizzified. It's like back in the days, you know, I'm an Apple guy. I love my Apple computers, and when I want to get real work done, I sit down on my Mac and I get real work done. But have you tried playing a video game on a Mac? It's a pain in the butt. And then so you run all these different emulators and you've got this one, or you run boot camp and doing it. It's just like, well, if Apple just supported better, you know, graphic type stuff, like this wouldn't be an issue. And this is kind of the same thing with Hearthstone. Like if you guys would just support it, we could, you know, we could just move on. We could just move on. I always got, you know, the Hearthstone team was, what, 15 people when it first started out, right? It was really, really small team. And, you know, they've like, I think they're nearing, didn't they say they're nearing 100 people on that team now at that point? Like,
that's probably close, yeah.
Sounds about right. Anyways, they've grown quite a big margin. Just please look at this tournament mode thing. Realize how people want it, how people want to play the game. Let people play. There comes a point. I love the nobility of, you know, protecting mobile players, making a consistent experience. Like that's things that Blizzard has been praised for decades. But I don't think that a tournament mode is in conflict of that. So I hope that they'll consider revisiting that. But JR, I'm like you. I'm losing hope, man.
Yeah.
I'm losing hope.
It's tough to stay positive when we have heard it over the years and the game's been out now for what, 3-4 years at this point, and we don't see any progress.
Yeah.
Feels hopeless, man.
Well, are we at time? Are we at time? We might be at time. I can't tell because we started a few minutes late. I don't think we have times for these emails. Rock in silence. I've got your emails. I'm going to put them in the show notes for next week, and we're going to answer them about preparing for running a deck for ladder and teching a deck for tournament mode, or for tournaments. Tournament mode.
Can't wait for that one.
I think that's going to be an awesome conversation. I want to spend time with it. Another one is talking about underrepresented archetypes and kind of like that net decking mentality. As if you're creating your own decks, it's usually bad unless you're a really good player. And so that's going to be a really interesting conversation for next week. But I think we got to actually get out of here this week. Patreon. I'm going to go ahead and do this again. I'm going to do the spiel because it's been a busy week. So first, we want to thank our friends of this show, Albert T, The Real Ben, Carell, and Variatus. Friends of the show will soon be relabeled to Legend supporters. How about that?
Yeah.
See? Like legendary. Yeah. That took a lot of thinking. That took a lot of...
I see what you did.
Like, why didn't we do that in the beginning? Anyways, big thank you to Albert T, The Real Ben, Carell, and Variatus again for your support of the show. And we want to welcome some new patrons: Justin H, Stephen E, Alex H, and Michael M. Thank you so much for supporting the show. Please, if you like the show, want to see it keep going, bringing on awesome guests. We're actually lining up some really amazing guests for June. You want to help us be able to do that. I'm going through a complete redesign of our stream right now, stuff like that. So if you want to continue to support content like that, more complex and I guess kind of more segments that require preparation, head over to patreon.com/wellmetpodcast and support. Plus, you have access to lots of cool perks. We're going to be doing a patron-only Q&A episode at least once a month. We're going to be doing patron game nights where we're going to sit down and play Hearthstone or play a different game together, and it's just going to be a ton of fun. So we'd love for you to get involved. Patreon.com/wellmetpodcast again. iTunes reviews. What do we got going on there, JR?
So iTunes reviews. We actually have a review from Stitcher. I didn't realize we were even on Stitcher. Actually, I did. I just forgot. From Silence.
It's been a while. I think we've only got like two. I think one was like Skywalker 123, which was one that I made because I wanted to see if it was working. So it might be our first.
I've never even used Stitcher, so
Neither have I,
forgetting it's even
awesome.
a thing. We're also on Google Play Podcast, but I don't think you can leave reviews on there.
You can.
I'd have to look. Yeah. But also from iTunes, we've got several 5-star reviews from L Close. Sounds about right. Isabella Chapman. I guess that's one name, so we only had a couple from iTunes. Isabella Chapman and L Close. Thank you so much for that 5-star review. If you'd like to leave us a 5-star review, just head over to iTunes, type in Hearthstone by searching for podcasts. You'll see us there. By finding us on Stitcher, I have no clue, so good luck.
Search Hearthstone on the internet. We're there. We're there, and we're usually pretty easy to find. Or just search Well Met Podcasts. We're also there as well. Yeah, I think that's it. I think it's time for some shout outs and where people can find your lovely host of Well Met. Tannon, you're up first.
All right, well, you can find me on Twitter at the Tannon Grace. Yeah, there is a D in front of my name because I'm the one and only. As for the shout outs, I'd like to give a shout out to our new Patreons. Pretty excited about the all the new stuff going on in our Patreon for the show. I'm way excited about getting more personal with the people that are the patrons of the show. The game night, I'm super excited for. I'm looking forward to if anyone wants to cash in on their Patreon for coaching. I love teaching games, so I can't wait to do that as well. And I can't wait to get to know these people. I can't wait to get into Discord, start talking to them and stuff and hear what they have to do, because honestly, the game's great right now, and I want to hear all your deck lists and ideas because I need to steal them and say they're my own.
One really cool thing is we're actually doing monthly giveaways now. We're going to be giving away one Well-Met t-shirt, one Battle.net gift card, and then also 1 hour of coaching. So you don't have to be a specific tier to get in that coaching. You can just enter the drawing and, get in that way. So it's pretty cool. JR, what about you, man? Shout outs for the week, and where can people find you?
People want to find me. The best place to do so is on Twitter at Eldorian. Also, check out our new Discord for that as well. I'm sharing deck lists on there and things like that of what I am playing. So it's a good resource in my opinion. As far as shout outs go, I would like to give one to one of the people on our Discord, Athanel, I believe is how his name is pronounced, because he helped me a little bit earlier in the week on figuring out Secret Mage and what I needed to get that to work. Because I'm going to tell you, since we skipped the meta report, guys, if you go by the Data Reaper report or Tempo Storm and you want to play Secret Mage, don't use their deck list because they're terrible. They need refined. That's
shots fired.
Fair enough. Come to our Discord for a deck list exchange and find the best and most up-to-date
better than
deck
Tempo
list right there. As for me, you can find me everywhere at KickedTripod, twitch.tv/KickedTripod, twitter.com/KickedTripod. They just announced some of the new stuff for the Contenders League for Overwatch. And I'm like really motivated again to like get back into trying and playing that game really hard, multiple hours a day. But I'm also playing quite a bit of Hearthstone, and I love to just hang out with people and chat about Hearthstone, and Discord has been amazing to do that. Shout out to my fiance, Katie, love you. Woo. You won't listen anyways to this because Hearthstone is boring to you. She listens to the payload though. And does like, she actually is like our voiceover artist for the payload. She does like all the voiceover stuff for that show. So it's pretty cool. Anyways, yeah, everywhere. Also, last thing, our friends at the Hearthaholics podcast are doing a tournament. I'm going to post the info in the show notes. He asked me to just pass along that link. So that link has all the information if you're wanting to get involved in a little bit smaller tournament. So that should be pretty cool. Woo! Thanks for joining us for episode 109 of Well Met. We record live 7 p.m. Pacific time on Mondays. And of course, you can find more awesome Hearthstone content throughout the week at hearthstone.blizzpro.com. And of course, tweet us at WellMet Podcast and send us your emails to wellmet@blizzpro.com with comments, questions, and ideas you have for the show. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week.